everybody, live from Columbus, Ohio. This is the Outer Belt Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Patrick, and you all know my co-host, Mr. Chili.
Hey.
That's all you got?
Hey.
We'll work on that. And you all know our producer, Mr. Jerome Barrow.
What's up, everyone?
Oh, I tell you what's up. Not summer.
That's for sure. I was so cold today, I was freezing.
It was ridiculous. I was outside for a few hours today, and I was like, I just need to move to freaking like Alaska and just get over it.
Yeah.
It's going to be freezing year-round, and I just need to embrace it because there is, I mean, it's either that or go to like Ecuador and just be hot all the time. It's almost May. Why is it? Why do I have
I don't know.
Why is there a freeze warning?
That's ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense.
I put the heated jacket in the closet the other day. Put the chargers up because we were leaving the chargers out because we were charging every night. And
and you're like, I don't need this anymore.
I don't need this anymore. I'm good.
Yeah.
I've been really close the last couple of days. Put my thermals back on and pulling the heated jacket back out.
Oh yeah. And every morning now I'm doing that math. You know the math of like what size jacket do I need?
Right.
Yeah.
So every time I wake up, or not wake up, every time I go to like leave, I'm like, all right, so it's 42 degrees. Now, is 42 degrees a light jacket or a heavy jacket? How much wind is there, too? The wind has been playing games.
Yeah.
So, like,
really
today,
has.
the wind, where I was, the wind wasn't terrible at all. But yesterday, it was like, not tornado, but it was ridiculous. It was a pretty rough wind, a lot of gusts. You just be feeling like, okay, this is fine. Then a gust would come by, and you're like, oh, my gosh, it just chills you to the bone.
The other part of that calculation is, okay, it's 42 degrees right now at 10 a.m.
Yes.
By 1, it's supposed to be 55.
Yes.
So I may not need that heavy jacket. I can go a little lighter right now and suffer through, but then be fine in the afternoon.
But what's been happening that's been really fun is that the sun's not coming out.
It's not.
So you think, okay, 55 degrees. So in Columbus, if you haven't been here, 55 degrees in direct sun, you don't need a jacket.
Oh, no, it's nice.
It's nice. It feels warm. You're fine.
Yep.
But 55 degrees and windy and overcast, it feels like the tundra.
Yes, it does.
It's insane.
It does. Jacket, please.
Right? So it's almost like you got to have two jackets in your car, and you just kind of change as needed. So it is. It has been a crazy weather. I will say this: my lawn looks nice though for some reason.
Beautiful, nice and green.
Isn't it weird?
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
Is.
Like we're still in that stage where all the trees are kind of like don't have leaves on them, but the grounds are like vibrant green.
The grass is growing like crazy.
Yeah,
our front lawn's due for a cut. It's looking a little shaggy.
I'll talk to Annie and see if she can line something up.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. We called our so like where we live, we have to get the ground cut. We don't do it ourselves, and we called our person, and they're like, "Oh, we'd love to, but it's gonna be raining like crazy, and we're just gonna rut your yard up." So we're literally gonna have to wait like a week or so before they can come out and cut the grass, and it's gonna be like
a jungle.
Crazy long hair. Yeah,
it's gonna be a jungle.
I will say what's been cool about the weather and the weirdness is the wildlife we're getting right now in the backyard. A couple days ago, we had like 3 deer walk across the backyard, and it was like, it's not August. Why is there deer walking around the backyard? Because by now, deer season's already come and gone. So, or is it? It's already come and gone, right? It's done. I think it's done. If I'm wrong, leave me a note on the podcast or on the YouTube comments. But I believe it's already come and gone. So by now, we typically don't see deer. It's usually not until fall that we start seeing them again. That they were out happy, walking through the yard, looking for food to eat. In the past few days, we've been seeing a river otter.
Really?
Yeah. And, we've lived here 4 or 5 years, and we've never really seen them. And recently, we've been seeing them a lot lately. So that's another thing that's kind of strange. Like, I don't know if a family moved in. I didn't see the U-Haul, but,
yeah.
I mean, would you if it was an otter U-Haul?
I don't know if you would. It might be a submarine or something. Who knows?
I could see that. Jerry, you ever seen an otter driving a U-Haul?
I have not. That would be pretty cool.
It would be.
Yeah. We've been seeing bunny rabbits in our yard lately.
How many? Because that will change.
Lots. Lots.
They yeah.
The smart ones steer clear because Annie chases after them.
Yeah, but I did hear Annie's got a thing for Le Pew.
She does. She went to the groomers today and got herself a blueberry facial scrub with cologne. I don't know if that's supposed to keep Le Pew away, but yeah.
I know he's gonna be crazy. He's gonna be like, oh no, you need some. Eau de toilette. We make you all nice and pretty again. No, that's hysterical. The fact that, I mean, I get LePew was Pepe Le Pew and his girlfriend was a cat, right?
She was a cat, but was she really his girlfriend?
No, and it's kind of creepy. We're not gonna acknowledge that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But so Annie's a black dog, very similar to that cat, and the fact that she's made friends with a skunk, I just think it's hysterical.
She's giving you the side eye right now. She is a black and white dog
With a hair of brown.
Not much, a little gray. She's got some gray
I
going
was about to
on.
say a little bit of gray in there.
Yeah.
That's not a little brown on her arm?
You know what? You're right. It is a little brown on her arm. You're right. Yeah. I'm going to get her some Just for Men for that gray, though.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you going to get her the black one, or are you going to get the touch of gray?
The touch of gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just start to embrace it.
Just embrace it.
Might
Just
as
go
well.
with it. Yeah. Highlight it. It makes you look distinguished.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And she's trying to get in all those dog shows.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
You got to have some distinguishing feature.
We're getting phone calls from the, what's that, Kennel Club? I just had it and drew a blank.
The
big show.
The
Westminster.
That's the one.
The Westminster Kennel Club has been calling us about getting her in the show.
Now, is that Westminster like outside of Boston, or is that Westminster in London?
You know, the show that they're calling her about is actually the Westminster Mall in Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lesser known show, but
it's more boutique.
Very prestigious.
Very prestigious. Not prestigious. Prestigious.
Prestigious.
It's
Excuse
prestigious.
Me. See, it's above me even. That's how big it is there. So, yeah.
No, I hear they do quite the deal for dogs. They co-sponsor in a very small way the Puppy Bowl, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a very small way there.
Very small. Yeah. Like almost not at all.
Almost
not
not
kind
at
of
all.
like when you're in walking through the beaches of Mexico and they're like, "Come, try to buy something from us. Almost free."
Yeah, almost free.
Almost free.
Yeah.
I love almost free. Almost free is never free. Isn't that
Never.
weird? It's not. It's not.
It's almost,
sometimes it's not even close.
Almost free.
Sometimes it's not even close.
It's relative, isn't it?
I guess.
Kind of relative.
Yeah.
You want a package of gum, or do you want the nice blanket?
I know, but the thing is, I don't know where to get that blanket in America.
Yeah, you make it yourself.
It used to be like if you wanted that blanket, you had to go to like Stuckey's. Or do you remember truck stops back in the day used to sell the cowboy hats and the ponchos?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of that in a long time. Are there still?
Loves used to sell like armor helmets.
I remember the
and
armored
swords.
helmets and the swords.
Come on.
It's like
Yeah.
you can't have a weapon in the truck, but you can have a model of a mid-century Dark Ages sword.
It's not sharp.
And a battle.
But it's heavy.
It's not, yeah.
Beat somebody about the head with it.
That's right. Craziness. Well, I was not here for the weekend, so I would love to hear, how was your weekend?
My weekend was actually fun. Saturday we did the usual. We went on date day, Melissa and I.
Nice.
And what we do on date day is go grocery shopping, run errands, and swing by our local beverage store.
One might call it a chateau.
Where, for some reason they know us there. And we looked to see if they had anything special, anything new, anything special or new. So we just bought the regulars. Went home and, watched a movie, fell asleep on the couch like I always do. And then Sunday, we drove out to...
would that be Sunday?
It was Sunday. We drove out to, I keep wanting to call it Diamond Lake. Indian Lake, out just west here of Columbus here, about an hour or so.
I've driven past it many times.
That's why we decided to stop. We drive past it on 33 all the time, going out to Fort Wayne.
Yes.
There's a little frontage road that runs through the town that we don't ever go off on because we're going out to Fort Wayne.
Yep.
So we decided to go out to Indian Lake and check it out. We went around the north. I guess it was the northeast side of the lake at first.
Okay. And then there's a state park up there, right?
There's a state park up there.
Yeah.
So we drove out onto there's an island out there, multiple islands connected by little small bridges, like one lane bridges.
Oh, cool.
All the houses out there most of the houses on the water. All the ones that are on the water, they have boat slips in the back.
Okay.
The nicer houses have like 2 and 3 boat slips in the back. The condominium communities, boat slips for the condominiums.
Well, that makes sense.
The mobile home communities,
Uh-huh.
boat slips. Yes.
So you have a $20,000 trailer for your $50,000 boat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Wow.
And then on the main drag back, we came back around down on 33, and there's a McDonald's there, and we stopped to use the facilities.
Is it
as you
open?
do. The McDonald's is open.
When I drove by there last time, it was like under construction.
No, it's open. It's a brand new McDonald's. The parking lot is kind of weird the way you pull into it. They have you loop around inside the drive-through lane to get to the parking. Once you go inside, you realize why it's that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the back side of the McDonald's, guess what they have? Boat slips.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can park your boat, go get your McDonald's. We didn't surprised they didn't have like drive-through, or I forget they probably have signs for phone-in orders.
Well,
You
that's
just
what I
pull up on
wondered.
your boat and they bring you your food out.
Maybe it says on the app when you get here, let us know.
It could. It certainly could.
That's crazy.
There's a Taco Bell, I don't know, a mile or so down. They were kind of on a park, the inlet.
Yeah.
And there were boat slips on the park, and figured that's probably where you park if you're going to Taco Bell.
Understood.
But we stopped at a nice little place.
They don't usually let Taco Bells have lakefront, waterfront access.
No, they usually don't.
No,
They
they're
usually
like,
don't.
we know who you are,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
this is not safe.
No. So we went to a nice little establishment. It's a restaurant bar and grill called Indian Head
Something place.
Indian Head Bar and Grill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how funny that is.
Yeah.
But where they are known for their Bloody Marys. I mean, this Bloody Mary, for those of you that are listening on podcast, it's in a pint glass.
Okay.
And then above that pint glass, probably as tall as a pint glass, it was stacked with, there was a mozzarella stick, a chicken wing, bread bites, bread,
Like
toasted
toast?
bread pieces.
Baguettes or something?
I'm drawing a complete blank on what those things are called.
Okay.
Celery, crouton. Yeah, big brown crouton. Sure, we'll call it that.
All right.
Shrimp. I'm forgetting the other stuff. There was a lot of stuff
I'm sorry.
on there.
Shrimp, fried shrimp, or like
No, it was like a
grilled
like a grilled
skewer.
shrimp.
Yeah.
A skewer. Yeah. They had 3 different kinds of peppers, like chili peppers on this thing. It was just overwhelming. It was a meal. Just by itself, it was a meal. So
Did you get one?
we did get one. We shared it.
Yeah.
We shared it, and we actually shared all the accoutrement on top of
Okay.
it. They had a good burger there too, really good burger. So
Awesome.
we were out there for a few hours. Melissa was working while we were having, before we had our beverages. It was Sunday, and then we made the drive home, and just wrapped up our weekend. It was a good weekend.
Very cool. You know,
Good weekend.
I really, really, really don't like Bloody Marys. They're just not something I enjoy. But I'm amazed at the art
Oh yeah,
that people do with
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bloody Marys. They just do a really good job of like showing them off and making them look
Sure.
good or whatever. And I think that's really a pretty cool thing because you don't see that much creativity in really any other drink. I mean, usually it's just a little slice of fruit or maybe a muddled cherry or something. The Bloody Mary tower of pub food awesomeness.
sure. I
It's
get
unusual.
I get that you go a lot of places that do Bloody Marys like that. They do their Bloody Mary that way, but nothing else.
Yeah.
If you go to like a tiki bar or something, and get a Jungle Bird,
That's true.
they do the arrangements, but not all of them do.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's common for a Bloody Mary to be made that way.
Yes.
In specialty places where you're spending $20 for a cocktail, it seems like
Yeah.
you might get a Jungle Bird made that way, but the other stuff is not necessarily that fancy.
Yeah.
But you're right. Bloody Marys are
They're like a
culture.
peacock.
They are.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
kind of show off
Just
what
like draw you in.
it's and I think they do that because at the end of the day, Bloody Marys aren't good.
They're
So
just-
that's my
they're
hot
just,
take. I mean,
yeah.
it's like if I want that, I'll have a little glass of V8 in
Sure.
the morning. I just don't get it. But to each their own. I would rather have orange juice. I think orange juice is a much better way. Get a lot of vitamin C.
Sure.
I mean, come on, what's healthier, V8 or orange juice?
V8.
Yeah, by far. But still. Anyways, well, cool. It sounds like a really relaxing, nice weekend.
It was a good weekend.
And I've really, again, we lived here almost 5 years, and I've never been out to Indian Lake. It's on the list of places I want to go. It's funny that McDonald's has a drive-through, not a drive-through, a pull-up with your boat parking. There's a a winery out in on Buckeye Lake that we've been to a few times, and they do the same thing. They have boat slips out there, so you can. I don't believe in drinking and driving. I don't believe in drinking and
Boating.
boating.
Yeah.
But you can pull up in your boat, tie off, walk in there, get you a wine slushie, and then get back on the boat and drive off. And I'm like, okay. I mean, hopefully you have a designated driver, but I know a lot of people that own boats, and I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, I think I think that Buckeye Lake Winery is more of a destination place because you can go there and have a nice meal and spend hours, live music, sit out by the fire pits. It's designed for that. And just like drinking and driving, it's illegal to have alcohol in a car, open a container of alcohol in a car.
Yeah.
In Ohio, it's illegal to have alcohol on a boat.
Wow. Okay.
So it doesn't mean people don't do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're out there boating or driving, do it responsibly. Don't go out there drinking and driving and drinking and boating. Think about the lives of others around you, your own life. It's just not safe. So do it responsibly. Does it mean people don't do it? No. So if you're going to do something like that, have a designated driver.
Yeah.
Or
It's crazy you brought that up because I didn't know that was actually illegal here. But coming from like Tennessee, where it would almost be like every summer there would be numerous, and when I say numerous, like 20, 30 boat accidents that involved alcohol. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, we've got some friends down in Georgia, and we go out on the lake with them. Usually, they don't own a big enough boat for everybody, so we're in a pontoon. Go out there, and we bring a cooler, and there's beers in there. They bring stuff for Bloody Marys. Oddly enough, as funny as that is, because we usually get out there first thing in the morning, and it's weird because out in the mountains of Georgia, dead of summer, it's 50 degrees when you get on the water, and then it's 105 when you by afternoon. But so we would go out there, but that was one of the things. Every time we went out there, we had a designated driver, and it's funny too because we would all one of the things we'd all do is everybody would take the safety course on being able to drive a pontoon. That way, if we got out there and things changed, maybe someone wasn't in the mood for it or whatever, and maybe you could change designated drivers halfway out. So one person would go out, drive, and then park the boat. And then throughout the course of the day, that could change to a different person or whatever. So because we're spending like 12 hours, 14 hours out there. So it was a really cool way we did it. But it was it's crazy. I mean, I hear about those boating accidents too, and it's wild because you think like going out and boating on a lake seems like a relatively safe. I mean,
sure.
With the exception of like hitting a reef or hitting something in the water, boats generally don't sink. Pontoons are pretty darn safe. But you always have that. There's always that risk, and it magnifies dramatically when you add alcohol into it.
It does, and it's not just you out there. It's people in speedboats, people on jet skis. What condition are they in? What condition are you in? People start getting crazy and going fast because they feel like they have the open water. They can go as fast as they want. They misjudge something, there's a problem. So.
Absolutely. Defensive driving, defensive boating.
Definitely.
It's a thing, but it's, I am looking forward to renting a pontoon, going out on one of these lakes out here. It is, I enjoy it. I enjoy floating out there and just, you throw the canopy up to protect it from the sun, and then you just kind of chill. We drop anchors in a little cove, literally just read a book. Yep. If you get hot, jump in the water, cool off, get back on the boat.
I got to tell you,
more. It's just a nice lazy way to spend the day.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was wishing we had our fishing poles out there with us though.
Yeah,
lots of fishing. It was cold and windy, but we saw a lot of them tucked into little coves where they protected. The water wasn't as choppy.
Yeah,
standing out there fishing. I wish I had my gear.
I just drove I had to go up to Grand Rapids, and when I crossed over is it Maumee River? Maumee River? Maumee River, something like that. I looked out there. It's a really low river, and it was just, as far as you could see, people in their waders just standing there casting lines.
I believe it.
And it was cold, and it was windy, and they were just out there like, don't care. Getting the fish in.
Gonna do it.
I wish I had that bug. I went out fishing several times with my dad back in high school, middle school, high school, even elementary school. And I just never got it. And I remember one time, I think what sealed the deal for me was out in Macomb, Mississippi. You probably know where Macomb, Mississippi is.
I do.
Out in Macomb, Mississippi, there's a little state park out there. We were at the lake's dammed up, so we actually were on the dam fishing, which a lot of people did. It wasn't like we were doing anything illegal. It wasn't that kind of big Hoover Dam kind of thing. It was like a little earthen dam. And we're fishing, and I was pulling my hook back in. It grabbed a rock, so I kind of gave it like a little like push out, pull back in, whatever to try to release it. It popped up and went right through my hand.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
This ain't for me.
That'll do
And from that point on, I mean, I have fished since, but I just don't find the pleasure in it. I don't get it. But man, I've got a lot of friends of mine that do. So, what I've been told I need to do is go not whitewater fishing.
Deep sea
fishing.
I would love to do that.
I've heard that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, and I'm one of those people, I don't get motion sickness. So the more that boat rocks, the more fun we're having. I don't care. Although I know for a lot of people that is not the case.
Not a lot of fun.
So anyways, well, Jerry, anything exciting happened to you this weekend?
No, I had a pretty relaxing at-home weekend. Sat around and watched my Brian Christopher slots and just chilled.
You and those slots. I get it. I do, not in a casino, but like on a cruise ship or something like that. I do enjoy late night. You've run out of things to do, but you're still awake. Maybe you're a little wired. Maybe you had too many Red Bulls or 5 hours. Not that would happen to any of us. But you I just need to wind down before I go to bed.
Sure.
Go into the slot machine, finding a penny slot or a quarter slot, and just playing. It is fun. I mean, it really is. And the way they really rope you in, the way they you almost win. It's like, if that was just
one more line.
If that was just a hair lower, I would have been, I would have been 100 air.
Yep.
And so you continue playing, and it is fun. Watching it, though.
It's the same thing. It's the same experience. It's that getting ready to go to bed. It's that winding down. It's relaxing. It's fun. And he's doing something that I would never do. And that is he's betting $100, $200, $250 a hand. Not every hand, but he's doing that a lot on slots. He's putting in $1,000 ticket each time he plays. He's betting these big amounts that I only wish I could.
So it's the casual weekend golfer watching the Masters. Basically,
I guess you could.
You're watching these people play a game that you dream you can play.
Yeah,
I can see that
because I love casinos. I absolutely love casinos.
Yeah,
but whenever I go, it's
an off night.
Yeah, leave the wallet in the car, leave it at home. Don't take the debit card. That kind of thing.
Well, and it's, you talk about leave it at home, don't bring it with you, leave the debit card in the car. That's what I do. When I go to casinos, I do the exact same thing. I have an addictive personality. I generally don't go to a casino that's in my town. So in Columbus, we have 2 casinos, Hollywood Downs, and we have Hollywood Casino and Scioto Downs. And they are, Hollywood Casino, from what I hear, is a really good casino. But I'm not saying I refuse to go, but I try really hard not to because I don't want to get in that situation of hey, it's a whatever weekend, let's go to the casino. I just know myself too well to know that I will lose everything. But if we're in Vegas, so a lot of people know that we work heavily with FedEx, we work heavily with Expedite Services. They're both based out of Memphis, Tennessee. So we do go to Memphis, Tennessee, and it's not uncommon for us to meet up with friends in Tunica. Mm-hmm. And we'll go to Gold Strike Casino or something like that, and which now I think is being rebranded as Caesars.
Interesting.
But we'll go there and stay one night and play there for the night, get the big buffet and all that good stuff. And then we'll go do work the next day. So I enjoy that, and I always go in with a set, here's how much I'm going to spend. I'm not going over this, but here's my budget. I do the same thing when I'm on a cruise. If I'm going to go, I say, here's my daily budget. And a lot of times, I don't go at all during the day.
Right.
It'll be... if I'm on a 7-day cruise, I may go 3 times. But I have those limitations in place so that I don't fall in that trap. Because I know me. I know how addictive I am. I enjoy casinos. I mean, we sponsor Casino Night at Expo.
Sure.
It is a fun thing that I really like. And if you're responsible, I don't see the difference in it versus an arcade. I really don't. It's just making sure that you're responsible and making sure if you know that you have potential not to be, you put those safeguards in place so that you can't.
Well, it's like you mentioned earlier, you're responsible driving and boating, responsible gambling.
Yes.
Whether you're sports betting or playing the slots or shooting craps or playing blackjack, you can get really deep down those rabbit holes for all of those things.
Yeah.
You know, the responsible drinking and also gambling. So you mentioned Scioto Downs.
Yes.
And Melissa showed me a picture yesterday.
I just saw that too.
Yeah. And I want to bring it up that Scioto Downs is no longer allowing truck parking at their casino. Now, I don't know if they don't mean because it seemed like they had a separate lot off to the side to lay out trucks in. And there were occasionally trucks would park in the parking lot in front of the hotel because that part's pretty empty.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like, and I'll read the notice, effective Monday, April 10th, 2023, no semi-truck parking permitted. Trucks will be towed without notice at owner's expense. They do refer you to their website at www.sciotodowns.com to learn more, and that's Scioto, SCIOTO, downs.com. So if you are familiar or used to parking there, or if you're thinking about parking there, check out their website first to make sure that you're not putting yourself and your truck at risk of getting towed.
So I've seen a few notices. It's not just that one. There's a couple other ones out there as well, and I do think it's for that truck parking area as well.
Interesting,
because they do say that the gas station across the street has truck parking, and they recommend you park there.
All right.
And I don't see why they would recommend that if they were going to keep their truck parking open. So I saw that and I thought that was very strange. I don't know what that's about because we do have quite a few teams that drive one of our trucks that do, in fact, go to Scioto Downs when they're in Columbus, and that is a fun thing for them to do. So when I saw that, I was like, I wonder why. So one is this because we as truckers did something wrong? You know, did they just get sick of picking up bottles full of whatever, or did they get sick of picking up trash, or did the city come through and say, hey, we don't want trucks parking here anymore, or are they planning a construction project?
Could be.
You know, that's the thing with a lot of these, it's no secret gambling is up, especially with sports betting, and a lot of these casinos are getting bought and sold like crazy. They are getting a lot of money injected in them, and I wouldn't be surprised if Scioto Downs was one of those casinos because the inside of it is, it's all right, but it's not to the same standards that Hollywood is.
No, it's certainly older.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they took that land and built something new.
Well, you know, they also have a horse racing track out there as well.
Yes.
Which last time Melissa and I went there, I guess the only time we went there was, I don't know, 9 months, almost a year ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it was probably back in the fall. And they had torn down the grandstand for the horse races to build up a new one, and the weather last year screwed it up, so they were pushing that out to the spring. So I don't know if that's been completed.
Yeah.
And now they're working on something else. So it's kind of off the opposite side. So there's a hotel on the south side. I'm sorry, there's the casino and racetrack on the south side and behind, and then there's a hotel back there as well.
Yeah.
So it's certainly possible they're going to build some more for the racetrack there, possibly even, you know.
I could see it. I mean, you know, ever since COVID, gambling is on the rise, and it is for better or for worse, and it is something people are putting a ton of money into. And even horse racing. I mean, I remember as a kid not watching horse races. It was something that my family never really got into, just because we just no moral reason, just never got into it.
Yeah.
But I remember watching like the James Bond movies where he I think it's A View to a Kill, where he's out at the racetrack, and watching other movies that also talked about being at racetracks. I always thought it'd be cool to go to a horse race, and you know, dress up and do the whole thing. The pomp and circumstance around it and everything, and drink a mint julep and bet on a horse and all that stuff. You know, when I got into my college years, it was really on a decline, and it looked for a second there like it might even get like fall out of favor and maybe even like go away in a couple of years, because they got rid of Greyhound racing back then, and so it was very interesting. I thought like, oh, I've missed my shot. I'm never going to be able to do this. It seems like as of late, it's kind of starting to make a comeback.
Well, horse racing certainly has its areas of interest. I know that Hollywood Park out in Los Angeles closed down. That's where they built the new stadium. Was it SoFi Stadium where the Rams and the Chargers play? They built that on that property. Kentucky the Derby's coming up here on May 5th, the first Saturday in May.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing in Kentucky, and we're not that far from Kentucky.
Yes.
Right now they have a big they're racing at a big track in Kentucky right now that's not Churchill Downs, but it's a celebrated
out in Lexington.
In Lexington.
Yes, I know the same track you're talking about. I
Yeah.
can't think of what it's called.
It's a celebrated race
Yes.
season. It runs a few weeks long, where there are establishments in Kentucky and Lexington that are making big to-dos about this whole thing,
Yeah.
you know. And then when Kentucky Derby comes up, when Derby week is huge. It's huge in Kentucky.
Basically
in the Louisville area, but not the Churchill Downs is in Louisville, but not just in Louisville, but all over Kentucky. It's huge.
Yes.
They say they have more horses in Kentucky than people.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think too, some of the things like some of the inhumane part of like horse stumbles and falls would kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that stuff's starting to be curtailed. I think that's part of why people are getting into it. Now there's horse rehabilitation. Like they'll obviously never race again, but they do make good
They're
horses.
not putting them down immediately.
They're not putting them down immediately
Yeah.
anymore. If they can find a home for them or what, they actually do that. So it is gotten it's gotten better. I don't know that it's great. I hope that continues to get better. Because when I first found out, like, when a horse falls down and breaks its leg, we kill it. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. And it's nice to see there are shelters and organizations set up to, if you want to buy a horse, but you don't have all the money for a horse, you can buy you were talking about buying a trained horse.
Right.
You know? And of course, to protect the racer, fix the horse so you can't breed it.
Sure.
But it is still a good horse,
yeah.
once it gets rehabilitated. So it's that some of that stuff's starting to happen. I think that's what's making it too become a little more favorable as people are kind of backing off it, and some of your animal humane organizations aren't attacking it as much because of all that. So I think that's promising.
There's so much that goes into it. I was back out in L.A., Los Alamitos and Santa Anita were the other two big tracks other than Hollywood Park. I'm not a horse racing person. I just you hear about them. Living out there, you hear about them. And they were talking about the different surfaces they had that were causing problems for the horses and those types of things. The meet that we were talking about is the Keeneland meet.
Yes,
that's going on right
Keeneland.
now. That is huge right now in Kentucky. So.
I remember down in Louisiana. You've heard of Jazz Fest. Most people have heard of Jazz Fest. It's a big concert music fest out of New Orleans. And back when I was doing sound production and such, I actually worked that festival, and it was great. And it's Jazz Fest. One thing that makes it so amazing is that it is so many different types of music. There's a country stage, there's a jazz stage, there's a blues stage, there's a gospel stage, there's a top 40 pop stage, and then there's all kinds of little stages in between them that do different stuff that you never heard. There's a big techno stage and all that stuff. So it is
How about Zydeco?
That's a given.
Oh,
yeah, of course. It's
but
New
I had
Orleans.
to ask
Yeah,
the question.
of course.
I just want to make sure.
And one of my favorite favorite stages is it's actually a tent, but I say a tent, I mean it's like 100 by 300, massive tent. Was the gospel stage. Man, we get some of those choirs in there and doing stuff, and the whole tent would shake and people would lose their mind. It was so much fun. Anyways, but that is at the horse track in New Orleans.
Okay.
So everything is contained within the field, and it is it was a really cool environment to work in because you don't get to work at a horse track very often. But on the other side of the state, out in Lafayette, they actually shut their racetrack down. The state voted, the city voted against it, our parish did, which if you don't know, Louisiana has parishes, not counties, but the same thing. So the parish voted, they ruled to get rid of it. So they shut it down. And most of us thought oh, well, that's it. They lost it. They tore it down and built a big warehouse on it. And so it was okay, cool. Like a year later, they opened up literally 10 miles north of it. I don't even think it was 10 miles. It was very close. The new Evangeline Downs, right down the street. And that was one of those things where I was like, well, if they just and this was straight horse racing. There was no casino attached, nothing. This is strictly horse racing.
Wow.
So it was at that point that I realized maybe this is not a completely dead thing. And then since then I've been seeing it more and more and more and more and more. And I don't follow horse racing. I'm not that kind of person, but there have been some really high profile horses happen. There was a Triple Crown winner not too long ago.
Interesting.
I think when all that stuff happens, people get excited about it again.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
Just like World Cup is starting to become a thing here in America that it didn't exist when I was a kid.
Yeah. It was non-existent for a long time. I think it wasn't publicized a whole lot until, what was it, 96, 98? When it was held in the United States, with the finals being at the Rose Bowl in California. I get the dates wrong. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't 98. It must have been 94. I think it was 94 when it was held in the United States. And that's when I first became aware of it. I had no idea of it before that. And at that point, I was,
Yeah.
20-something.
I was in like third grade. But so I don't recall a whole lot. We were just getting over Andrew that occurred.
Right.
That
More
previous.
more important than people kicking balls around the fields.
Yeah. But
Certainly.
but I mean, I remember thinking like, as a kid, soccer wasn't a thing. It was
Right.
a joke. Like,
Yeah.
haha. It's just this is a cute thing that they do out in Europe. And now it's like soccer is the fastest growing sport in like elementary, middle school,
Sure.
and high school. I really think in the next 10-ish years, it's going to be, I don't want to say it's going to be as big as baseball, but it's going to be talked about with the same stature as baseball in America.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because they've been saying that for the last 20 years.
I know, but
I remember the kids when I was growing up.
yes,
The kids across the street from me that I grew up with, that were my friends, same age as me and a couple years younger, were playing AYSO soccer, and it hasn't taken off. You got soccer fields all over Southern California. You got soccer fields all over here too.
yeah,
And it hasn't taken off. The MLS is a thing, but it's not considered top-rate soccer by anybody in the world. You get big-name players every now and again, but it's not considered top league soccer.
So do you think it'll ever take off in America?
I don't think it will.
Ever.
I don't think it will ever take off in America beyond what it is right now. I truly don't. I think the reason why it's so popular in among kids is the cost to play.
Yeah, and the safety.
And the safety. You don't have the safety issues you have with football, with full-on collision. You don't have the equipment costs you have with football.
Yeah.
Basketball, a little different, because all you need really in basketball is a hoop and a ball, right?
True,
You
but
can play basketball on concrete, on asphalt. You don't need a gym to play basketball. So the cost is a little different there. But with baseball, you need equipment to play. You need a proper diamond. Soccer, you can play on an open field anywhere.
Yeah.
So the cost is a lot less than most other sports.
well, too, in like basketball, because I played basketball as a kid. That was my thing. Like, height had its advantage.
Sure.
And so you really depended on your physical build.
Yeah.
And so if you were tall and somewhat skinny, basketball worked really good in your favor. If you were not as tall, you could still do it,
Sure,
especially in those young ages. They would let you do it, but it got hard to do as you got
As you
older.
get older, yeah.
And so soccer doesn't so much care about how tall you are as much as it is how fast are you,
Yep.
how precise are you when you are handling a ball, that sort of thing. So it is a little different. I don't know. Maybe it's because we've traveled so much internationally that I see soccer in a higher light, and I also see so many soccer fields and so many soccer things coming up. Here in Columbus, we just spent millions of dollars building a soccer stadium.
Sure.
That it feels like it's the next thing. But you could be right. I don't know that it will never become a thing. Yeah, my 10 years may be a bit aggressive. It could be 50 years down the line.
Well, let's take college soccer. Most of the schools, the Division I schools that have Division I football and basketball teams, also have a soccer team.
Never hear about it.
We never hear about it.
Ever.
Never hear about it.
Hear more about other stuff than that, yeah.
You do. So until it becomes big on that level,
Yeah.
and that's what's feeding into the Major League Soccer, the other soccer leagues around the world that are looking at American players, we're just not going to be that on that same level. It just isn't.
I guess that's true. I mean, when you look at it, it's like Ryan Reynolds went and bought that team out in England. He didn't buy an American team.
Yeah. Apple just got the rights to broadcast all of Major League Soccer on Apple TV.
I saw that.
I think they show a couple games for free here and there. I'm not sure what the schedule is, but you can buy the package.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a soccer fan, so I don't know what the prices are. But I hear they're doing good things with it.
Yeah.
But it's on Apple TV. It's on a streaming network. It's on a streaming network that you have to have the Apple TV app, which you can do on Amazon or all the different platforms. You don't have to have an Apple TV box,
Correct.
but you have to have special equipment in order to be able to and pay for a service in order to be able to pay for a service to watch MLS.
But the argument can be made too with like Monday Night Football or Sunday NFL Ticket or something like that. You still had to. Well, I guess Monday Night Football was broadcast on over the air, wasn't it?
Until recently when it went to ESPN, I think.
Okay.
But you could still watch free games on Sunday on regular TV.
Correct.
You didn't
Just
have
your
to-
local
just
one.
Just your local. Well, you had, 3 or 4 games on regular TV on Sunday.
True. Yeah.
Baseball games. You can watch your local team, on over-the-air TV if you want to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and most people don't. It feels like a lot of people don't have, or most people don't have over-the-air TV anymore. It's funny they made that big switch to digital and talked about how great it was going to be. That now
Yeah.
you have a much better signal coming to your house. You have I don't know if does it do 1080p or is it just 720 for over-the-air?
Actually, the new one, because the new TV that we just bought actually does 4K over the air.
wow.
Really? That's
so if it's
crazy.
broadcast
And
at 4K.
It is amazing. There is 4 channels, I believe, here in Columbus,
Wow.
and it is crystal clear.
Do you have to have a special receiver for it or antenna for it?
No, it's a regular antenna. You just got to have a newer the antenna connection
Yeah.
built into the TV. It can't be one of the older style.
Yeah, I remember I remember when that big change happened and like we had to go buy those converter boxes,
Yeah.
the little black converter
Yeah.
boxes, and it was like RF in, RF out. I guess because we don't have it, it feels like most people don't have it, but that could be just because I don't have it.
It's really, really clear. And they do other things too, like, if there's information in a commercial or something they're showing, or they want to push something, like you can actually hit certain buttons on your remote and it'll take you to like another screen. And, while you're watching a show, you can look at weather on the side. Like they do a lot of different stuff and it has more bandwidth.
Nice.
Oh, that's really
and all
cool.
kinds of
That's cool. So you get your Golden Girls in 4K on over the air now?
No.
See, I love that because I'm sitting over here crapping all over it, and you're like, actually, you're dead wrong. It is really cool.
I mean,
Well, that's how we have these conversations, right?
It is.
we have a lot of streaming services, but for TV, like we just don't see the point in paying for it. So,
I agree.
Don still watches his shows every Sunday. He's got to watch The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers and all that, and it only comes on regular TV. So we have to have the antenna.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, Don likes good TV.
Yeah.
So I look at, I love The Simpsons.
Oh, he does too. Bob's Burgers is his favorites, but
The Simpsons is, for The Simpsons?
oh yeah.
When you look at the body of work, though, I mean, how many things have The Simpsons predicted, for crying out loud? The
Yeah.
Simpsons movie predicted COVID. I want everybody to think about that. The Simpsons, the movie predicted COVID.
I'm over it. I think it's a great show, but it's just been on so long and it's the same thing. And it's just like, don't get me wrong. I grew up with Bart and Lisa and I had the cassette tape of Bart singing and all that. Yeah. But I'm still Bob's Burgers. I love Bob's Burgers. I will sit and watch that.
I've never watched Bob's Burgers. I've heard some really good things from friends of mine about it, but I've never actually watched it. It's funny, The Simpsons, one little side story, and then we'll move on. I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons as a child. It was really big when I was just a hair too young to watch it. So Mom was always like, "No, you can watch other stuff, but let's not. This is a little too risque for a 6-year-old or whatever I was." So I mean, I still watched it. Don't get me wrong. I just had to watch it in my bedroom on extremely low volume on a black and white TV, which is really fun when you've got characters that are yellow and blue and all that stuff. You have to figure out what's happening
Right.
on a black and white TV. It is funny though, because growing up with a black and white TV in my room, it was RCA Victor television, 9-inch, yeah, real
Oh,
big,
yeah, big one.
with the rabbit ears. Oh yeah. So when people are like, you don't know the struggle. Oh, I do. The watching that on Saturday or like Saturday morning cartoons, or watching that at night on apparently Fox 44 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I would you could still see it, even though it's black and white. Your brain is smart enough to understand this is a different color. It's amazing what your brain does to trick you, even when you're watching a black and white show. into seeing it not in color, but almost in color. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but had you also seen those characters in color in other places? Whether it's...
I had, yes.
Yeah, so I think that helps as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. But there were other shows too, like that you'd watch and you hadn't seen in color, and you would watch it in color and you'd be like, oh, I had that pegged differently in my head or whatever. But you could still, it still gives you that depth of understanding, which was pretty remarkable. I thought that your brain is smart enough to be able to do that. That being said, I don't want to go back to black and white. I'm totally fine staying with color. So I wasn't allowed to watch it as a kid, but in an awkward twist of fate, when the Simpsons movie came out, guess who I went to watch it with?
I'm going to guess your mom.
Yes. So me and my mom actually went to the movie theater together and watched the Simpsons movie, and we saw that virus that they predicted and everything, and we're like, that'll never happen.
Right. Guess what?
Yeah. Anyways, so 3 years later, here we are.
Jerry, I'm so glad you got to relax this weekend and just enjoy yourself. I really am. Glad to hear that.
Thank you. That's my thing.
Yeah. Good to hear.
I would rather be at home, cuddled up on the couch with a blanket any day of the week.
I wonder where Patrick was this weekend. He was out of town. I wonder where he went.
Oh, no.
Let's ask him. How was your weekend, Patrick? Where'd you go?
I had a fantastic weekend. So I had a thing on Saturday, a meeting on Saturday that I couldn't get out of. And so I was like, dang, I guess I'm stuck here, and the weather wasn't good, so I was like, all right, we'll just have to make the best of it. And on Friday afternoon, I get a text message. Hey, by the way, I'm not feeling so good, so I'm going to cancel our Saturday meeting and let's meet up on next week. And I was like, ooh. So I knew we had a lot of drivers parked out in Bordentown, New Jersey, out at the Loves, and that they were going to be throwing down for the weekend. So Matt and Jamie, who drive with us and are mentor team of ours, and they're just really great people. They were actually out there doing a tailgate party with everybody. They bring out the canopies, and they have like, I think, a 20 by 20 canopy. Well, it's 2 or 3.
10 by 10s.
Yeah, that make a 20 by 20.
Right.
And a bunch of chairs and all that stuff. A couple, like a Traeger. They also have a
Blackstone griddle too.
He just bought the Blackstone griddle. It's electric. I was like, I didn't know the Blackstone made an electric griddle. I thought they were strictly propane, but it's super nice. And so we saw all that was out there. So I called Eric. I was like, hey, do you want to go to Bordentown, New Jersey? And being Eric, he said, no, that's not what he said. He said, what'll it cost? And I was like, well, I knew you'd ask, so I've already looked it up. Flights to Philadelphia are about $1,400 a person, and that's right around the corner. And so I have to look up the hotel and the rental car, but that's what it's at. And he's like, no. So I was like, I knew you were going to say that. So I was like, dang it, but I really wanted to go. And I'm like, Bordentown, New Jersey. Newark's not real far away, but I remember Delta flies directly to LaGuardia and JFK from Columbus, and it's usually a pretty cheap flight.
Right.
It happens. Do you know we get 10 flights a day to New York City?
Really? Out of Columbus?
Out of Columbus.
Wow.
5 to New York, 5 to JFK, 5 to LaGuardia. I was like, I had no idea we had that many flights back and forth from New York City. So I was like, let me look and see what I can find out. Next day flights are always crazy expensive.
Always.
Pennies. I was like, well, this is clearly what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, then if we do this, we're going to have to rent a car because we can't Uber anymore. We're not close enough. Looked up Enterprise. I had enough points in my points balance to pay for the car. And I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. So the car's not going to cost anything.
Yeah.
And then I found a hotel. The hotel right there at Love's in New Jersey is a Hampton Inn.
All right.
It was stupid expensive. And I was like, oh, let me figure this out. I found I had a credit, paid for it free. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So the only thing we had to pay for was the flights.
Yeah.
And I called Eric and I'm like, we're flying economy, but we can get there pretty darn cheap. And told him everything. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So I booked everything as fast as I could. I was just terrified that as soon as
would go away.
as soon as I would do it, then it's like, oh, the hotel's sold out, or oh, the car rental's no longer available. The car rental scared me the most because car rentals right now are a nightmare.
Insane.
That one's terrified me the most. I was like, if the air flight doesn't work, there's 2 other options that weren't as good, but they would still work. So I got everything 5 a.m. or I'm sorry, 4 a.m. on Saturday. We got up, did everything we had to do, and jumped in the car, ran over to the airport. Thankfully, I was actually running ahead of time, so I was planning on parking in the garage because it's only one day,
Right.
and it's fine. We'll pay the extra price, but we were actually ahead of schedule, so we ended up going to the $5 or $6 lot. Now it's $6.
Has it gone up?
It has gone up $1. Inflation kills
My
me.
goodness.
I know, $6 a day. That is just that's
ridiculous.
robbery
At a major airport.
for asphalt. I mean, come on.
Right.
So we stayed there and then got out of the airport. Nobody standing in line. We went to Clear because we have the Clear membership. We go to Clear, and two people next to us, they end up going to TSA pre-check. And we go to Clear, which is the faster alternative, and they beat us. And I was like, well, this was stupid. I should have just forgiven gotten over my Clear and just gone straight to pre-check. But we get in there, do the whole thing, get on the other side. It was great. Had like 40 minutes to kill, which I did something I never do. I sat down in front of our gate. I closed my eyes, and I just kind of I didn't doze, but like just relaxed. You know that feeling of like I'm not falling asleep, but I'm also not moving, and I'm completely zenned out or whatever.
I really don't.
Okay, well,
when I sit like that,
I
fall asleep.
Oh, I know, I've heard.
Yeah.
And by that I mean snores.
You witnessed.
Yeah, but one thing I did is because I knew it was such an early flight, I did not have a 5 hour, no coffee, nothing, because I wanted to be able to sleep on the flight. Got on the flight, sure enough, slept most of the way over there.
Are there no lounges or anything at Columbus? I can't remember.
There is if you fly out of Concourse B, which is American and United.
Okay.
So occasionally I'll take United. I refuse to fly American.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart that you have the flag carrying airline for our country happens to also be the worst airline of our country.
They just had that flight leave here yesterday.
It hit a bird.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's not their fault.
Right.
That's not their fault. And they flew around and they landed. But it is interesting that U.S. Airways, they hit a bird out of LaGuardia. They're the ones, Miracle on the Hudson, landed on the Hudson River. U.S. Airways gets bought by, guess it, American Airlines. So, good luck there. But anyways, so, again, completely out of their control, but a fun point nonetheless. Yeah, that was crazy. So, but yeah, that's the only lounge here. So what we typically do is we go to the Donato's. We have a Donato's pizza, and they have the best. If we're leaving in the morning, the best breakfast pizza.
They do have a good breakfast pizza.
It's really, really good. So we'll usually go up to the bar, get a Donato's breakfast pizza. It's a little like 6 or 7 inches. It's pretty small. And then I like to do like a Coke Zero and Jack Daniels, something like that, just to start off the flight with a little kick. It depends. If I have to land somewhere, like if I'm going to do a direct flight and I'm going to land somewhere, then I typically will not do that because if I'm going to be driving, I don't want to whatever. But if I'm not, then absolutely.
Sure.
And then, but this time I just went straight to the seat and just sat down. Went and then slept on the flight over there. Get to JFK. Everything was perfect. Went right to the car rental place. They're waiting on us. Go to the car. I ordered a small SUV. Get there and small SUV. We go walk around the car. They had, those superficial scratches that are like in the clear coat?
Yeah.
They're not even like deep. They had some of those on the hood. So I just asked the guy, hey, can you mark these on the rest of the car look great. Can you just mark these? He's like, oh man, I can't give you this car with these scratches on it. He's like, let me go find something else. And I'm like, oh, I just want to go. I just want to go. I just want to get over there, see my people, hang out and have fun. And this is now delaying us. That dude brings us back not a full size, but like one level below it with 4 miles on it.
Wow.
Yeah. USB-C for the radio, not USB-A. It's got 3-row seating, which I had to put down the third row to put our luggage in. And it drove and rode pretty good. I was shocked at how nice it was because it was a Mitsubishi Outlander. And I've never been a huge Mitsubishi fan, ever since that whole thing in Japan where they were building airplanes to kill Americans.
Right. I get it.
We're going to take it all the way back to the 40s.
All the way back.
And, but since then, so I've never really been a big fan of their cars. But this thing, I was shocked. It had the nice, like, leather seats where the sides were leather, but the middle was that
Was it breathable?
Yes, it was that breathable.
Alcantara.
We'll go with that.
Not that fancy.
Look, it might have been that stuff. It was. I want to say suede, but it wasn't, because suede makes you hot. This felt cool. Like I never once felt hot in the seat. It actually rode really good, because leaving New York City, you hit some bumps.
You hit some bumps.
And it was smooth the whole way. It was a very enjoyable drive. Got there, I was so scared someone would see us, because again, we didn't tell anybody. We just did it. So we parked at the Loves. We actually walked. They were right there on the corner, and we were kind of like, if we were parked where we would wanted to park, they would have seen us.
Okay.
So we parked kind of around the building, and then we kind of walked close to the building, over, cut across, and then cut across like several trucks. Then we ended up walking around. We actually cut right in front of Matt and Jamie's truck, and then we walk around, and people start. You see it slowly, because there's like a dozen or more people there. You see it slowly. They're like starting to point and starting to be like, "Oh my God, look," whatever. But not crazy, because not everybody there was one of our teams, so they didn't necessarily recognize us. Or there were a couple of people there that are our teams, but we never met before, so it was a good time to meet them for the first time. And then I walked around the truck, and Matt was talking to someone. He turns and looks at me, and he's like, "Oh my God," like completely dumbfounded, and just jumped up and gave me the biggest embrace. And it was really cool to see.
That's awesome.
And then Jamie was in her truck, which we didn't notice, and she actually saw us walk past. And so she jumped out of her truck, and she was right behind us, running to catch up. And she grabbed Eric and hugged him. And then we just had a wonderful evening, our weekend, hanging out with them. So anyways, Matt actually had his Traeger out there, and then Robert Foreman, one of our teams as well, great team, love them to death. They actually had a pit boss out there, both pellet grills.
Yeah.
And so they were actually having a little like internal smoking competition,
Nice.
which, hey, who doesn't love a good time, right? Like,
Gotta love it.
especially for smoking meats. Like, that's just a blast. I walk around and see those things, and it's like, oh, this is awesome. They had the tables all set up with the black, what do you call that? Tablecloth? Cheap, cheap
tablecloth?
black tablecloth stuff taped down to the tables and everything. And so we hung out with them, and then I had to go at 3:00, check in the hotel, and then also you and I jumped on that podcast together. Right. That was a lot of fun, but the whole time they're blowing me up like, "When are you going to be back? When are you going to be back? Come on, ready."
Food.
So it's like, all right, quickly we jumped out of the hotel, went over there, and went over to the table. They already had everything set up, and they were just about to. They already pulled the meat out the grill, and I guess pulled pork. You have to literally pull it apart.
Yeah.
He had these like little brass knuckly looking things with hooks.
Hook on. They call them bear claws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they'd already gotten all that set up, and we got over there. Jamie said a few nice words, and then it was let's eat. And it was just delicious. I mean, they had like 3 different types of pasta, salads, or I should say salads, not pasta, salads. And then one or two of them was pasta salad, but the rest were whatever. Then they had, fresh asparagus, fresh green beans, carrots. They had carrots, corn casserole. Oh, I'm from South Louisiana. I love a good corn casserole. And then they had a big sheet cake there, and then they had the meat, and they had some barbecue sauce on the side if you wanted it, or if you didn't want it, it was whatever it was. So just being able to hang out with everybody and do all that, it was so much fun. I love being able to hang out with my Hyfield family. It's not something we do all the time, and when we actually get the opportunity, it is a lot of fun. What was really what was really funny was about 8, the bottom fell out of the skies.
Oh,
and we were.
right.
It was funny because we were watching it, and you could see it come towards towards where we were at. We were watching on the radar and everything, and there was a point where it was like we all wanted to hang out so long. There was just that point where it's like, okay, we have to wrap this up right now, or we're all going to end up getting struck by lightning. So we're like throwing things, grabbing chairs and collapsing them and throwing them and putting them in the bags, and forget the bag. We can do it later. Like just trying to get into everything situated as fast as possible. And people, once they get their stuff settled, they're running out to their truck trying to go for protection. And of course, Eric and I don't have a truck to go to, so we ended up jumping in Matt and Jamie's truck and hanging out with them, and Teresa Burton and Heather and Stephanie and I am so sorry. I cannot remember the other person's name. I apologize. This is not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on my poor memory. We all started hanging out and just cramped little space, having fun. It ended up being a lot of fun. The rain went over real quick, and it was all fine and good again. But yeah, it was a fun few minutes. It was crazy. It was one of those rainstorms where the rain was just pounding on the truck, and you could just hear it. And then it was gone, and then we were able to go back outside and hang out again. So it was really good time.
That's cool. That's good to hear. Sounds like fun. How was your Sunday? It was all Saturday. More the same?
Yeah, Sunday was about the same. We went over there. They cooked lunch. He did bring his Blackstone out, and he did hibachi on the Blackstones. They had the noodles, the rice, all the veggies, the chicken and steak. They had shrimp the night on Friday night, but it was all gone by the time we got there. So I am trying to lose some weight, so I am only doing one meal a day. So I couldn't really eat any of it, but it smelled delicious. And then right before we left, I was like, it's not going to kill me if I have a couple bites of meat. So I did eat a couple things of steak and the chicken. It was really, really good. You know, that's one thing. It's like, not only are the Brookhouses, Matt and Jamie, great hosts, he's a really good cook.
Yeah.
And she is too. And it's like, yeah, it worked out really nice. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
So it sounds like a good time was had by all.
It was a lot of fun. Charlie, the guy's name was Charlie. And then Robert, he was a solo. He's driving for another owner. They're actually working on getting his girlfriend his license and his girlfriend her license. And we're going to meet them at the expo too. And I'm looking forward to it. And then there was another team there. There's another fleet owner there. It was a really good time. I really enjoyed it. And then we did the mad dash back to JFK in the car and topped off the gas,
right.
Get it back to the rental car place, go through security at JFK. Oh, and it shocked me. The JFK is an airport I've been to quite a few times. They have shut down Terminal 2. So the old derelict, it's the one terminal that Delta flies out of that every time we would go there, we're like, why is Delta using this? I mean, it is horrible. It is a complete junk. And I was talking to someone like literally this past week about how bad it was. So we go there and show up, and it's completely closed down. They're going to demolish it, tear it to the ground, and rebuild their international terminal, where Terminal 1, Terminal 2 is going to become one big terminal.
Okay.
So it was. So we ended up going. So I was shocked that was completely closed down. But yeah, we ended up going back to Delta, Sky Club, and of course, so the terminal that we left out of it makes like a Y. It has two legs.
Right.
The Sky Lounge is on the right leg, like probably 20 gates down. And so that's where we were. And our airplane was like 5 or 6 more gates down. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got that little alert. Boop, gate change.
Do the other leg.
32 minutes away.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Eric will tell you, we got on that plane like there was nobody in line. Everybody that was going to be on that plane was already on that plane. It was insane. And of course, we had the fun privilege of getting on the plane and finding someone else in our seats.
Oh, of course.
And then it's like, what's on your ticket? Right? And they're like, another number, but it was the number right in front of us.
Okay.
So, but of course, there was someone sitting there.
Of course.
And so they had to ask him, and he was like, oh, I'm further back in the plane. My apologies. I'm like, do you think, like, Delta assigned seats? I think everybody knows that. This isn't Southwest.
No.
You don't just jump on and pick whatever you want. And so, sure enough, the guy found his seat.
Of course.
But that was always, that's a fun awkwardness. I've had that happen 2 or 3 times before, and it's always been just one person in my seat. It's never been like they're in my seat because those people are in their seats. It's never been that much
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. So lesson of the day: if you're flying Delta and you have a seat assigned to you, get in that seat.
Get in that seat. Yeah. Take your assigned seat,
How far
please.
back in the plane was he?
Oh, pretty far.
Yeah, that's like another clue, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It wasn't even close because I thought about that. Like, he was in seat 5, so we're in economy, but we're in the front of economy. So he was in seat 5, we're in seat 6. Or he was in row 5, we're in row 6, and he ended up going back because I thought like, okay, 5, maybe it's 15, so I'll look and see if he was in 15, and maybe that was it or whatever. No, he's in like row 20.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like,
He
you knew what you were doing. You just didn't want to sit in the back. It was interesting, of course. But as usual, Delta got me home safe.
Yeah.
That was it. I had a great trip.
Awesome.
It was very, very fast, but it was really good.
So the plane on the table here, did you fly that to JFK this weekend?
I did not. So I'm continuing the plan of the day, our plan of the week. I'm continuing kind of our conversation we had not too long ago about the Aerolíneas Argentinas flight that Jerry and I and Don and Frank and Stephanie and Eric flew to Iguazu Falls. This is a Boeing 767-300. So
that's a big boy.
This is it's a wide body airplane. So there's 2 aisles on it. It's 121 in business class, but it's 242 in the rest of the plane. Seating set means there's 2 seats, an aisle, 4 seats, an aisle, and 2 seats. And that I personally think that's the best economy setup. You've got 2 seats on either side for couples, and then you've got 4 seats in the middle for families. I think it's a great configuration. I wish more airlines did that. So on the way to and from Argentina, it just so happened that Eric, myself, Don, and Jerry all ended up on the exact same airplane. So we all flew to Argentina together, even though we were coming from 2 different locations. We all met up in Atlanta and ended up getting on this airplane and flying down together, which was a lot of fun. Sort of. So Eric and I redeemed our points and flew business class.
Okay.
Jerry and Don did not.
No.
So Jerry and Don, they were on the 2 side by side in Comfort Plus, and I didn't realize they were in like the first 2 seats of Comfort Plus.
Okay.
And Eric and I were in like the last 2 seats of Delta One, and there was a galley between us. I had, from my seat, I stood up and turned around and looked, and there was Jerry just glaring at me. And that was the whole flight. They got to watch, we got a 3-course meal. They got 1 tray with all their food on it. Jerry's claim. Well, Jerry, how was your experience?
It was interesting. So it wasn't as bad as my first international trip to Italy, but I've slowly progressed. Start out in economy, Comfort Plus, and then I did finally get to experience the Delta One. So I can honestly say that it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever done, but it wasn't as good as what Patrick had.
When we can fly business, we definitely try to. And the Buenos Aires flight, like you would think flying to Europe would be a lot longer than flying down to Argentina. No. It was 10 and a half, 11 hours to and from Argentina.
Wow.
It was a very long flight. And so it was like, no, if we're going to do this, we got to be comfortable. Again, had no clue they were on the same flight. And it was like, ooh, okay, well, this would be awkward. But then it's like, okay, well, maybe they'll be far enough back, it won't be a big deal.
Sure.
And then it's like, no, you can literally just every time I kind of glance back, it's just them
Jerry's
just like angrily staring at me with your Sony headphones on. I remember that.
Yep.
And I mean, it was a good trip. It was fine. And then on the way back, same thing, same seats. I look back there and Don's just conked out asleep and Jerry's just glaring again.
So I was very uncomfortable. For those that don't know, I've lost quite a bit of weight recently and I was much bigger. And so it was not a very comfortable experience. And my other half chooses to take something to knock his butt out, which I did not know this until about 20 minutes into the flight when he is completely out with his head on my shoulder and I suffer through the entire 11 hours. So he just happened to wake up at the last 10 minutes. And he's like, oh, we're there. And he's like, all happy. And I did not get that experience.
And you were miserable.
I was so miserable.
Yeah, so that was the plane. Now, what makes this plane even more remarkable is you just heard Jerry say he has progressed up to Delta One. He now flies that. It's the exact same plane. not the same tail number, but the exact same type of plane.
Right.
We flew to Portugal, and he flew Delta One. He got business class. Oh yeah. So this time, they were in front of us, so we were a little further back in the cabin. They were up in the front of the cabin, and I remember getting done eating dinner, and then I got me a shocker Jack and Coke, and I'm watching a little TV, and I'm like, all right, well, it's probably time to wind down and go to bed. So let me turn my TV off and let me go use the restroom before I go. So I get up and I walk up to the front plane, use the restroom, and as I come back out of the plane, I just walk by Jerry and I look down at him and he looks at me and he just grins this biggest like Cheshire cat grin. And it's like, oh, this is cool.
This is the life.
Yeah. And then I proceeded to go back and go to sleep. Now, what I didn't know, because I was asleep, is that someone with their child. Care to explain that?
Is like who goes from they come from maybe Comfort Plus, I'm assuming economy, economy or Comfort Plus, somewhere in that area. They had a screaming baby, and they walk up to the restroom of first class and stand there in the middle of the night when I'm in my comfortable lay down, lie flat seat, trying to go to sleep, and you're standing right beside me with a screaming child. I was not happy about that, but that's first world problems. I look back on it now and it's like, how can I feel like that? But
well, again, if you don't know, if you fly internationally and you're on a wide body plane, you have permission to walk amongst that plane. Not during dinner service. At dinner service, sit in your seat, be quiet, But once dinner service is gone, because on these flights, everybody gets dinner. Economy seats, Comfort Plus, Delta One.
It's a long flight.
We all get dinner. We all get breakfast. Like that's just a thing. It's such a long flight. They feed you. This is not Spirit Airlines. This is a mainline good carrier. So, but when that's not happening and like everybody's gone to sleep or they're watching their TV or whatever, you can actually get up and you can walk to the galley. And on an airplane like this, there's 3 galleys. There's one in the front, one in the middle, one in the back. You can actually get up, take your screaming child to the middle of a galley where there's a wall on both sides of you, and you're not interrupting anybody, and you can actually coddle them and do what you have to do there and until they calm down. No one cares. We get it. You got a baby on a plane. That's going to happen. Yeah. Right? But to go and stand right next to someone's seat that's not yours and just that's not cool. Like, go to the middle of the galley. And the flight attendants know, they don't stop you. And a lot of these planes in the middle of the galley, they'll actually have snacks and soft drinks there for you to pick up and grab. A kind of self-service situation. So it's just a thing. But this is a 767-300ER extended range. It's a workhorse. Boeing made so many of these planes. As a matter of fact, this plane is still made today. Wow. They only make it in a cargo variant now. They don't make the passenger version anymore, but they still make this plane. It is a tried and true workhorse. I mean, Delta runs the dog out of these things. The oldest one is like built in the early 90s, and the latest one was built in the early 2000s. The Pratt & Whitney 4000 engines are extremely reliable. These planes mostly fly to South America and to Europe. So Boeing really, really, really needs to build a mid-sized jet. This is considered a mid-sized jet. A 777 would be a large, or 747 would be a large jet. This is a mid-sized jet. They really need to build a more fuel-efficient variant of a mid-sized jet, because right now Airbus is kind of kicking them in the teeth with it, and Boeing doesn't have a way to respond to it. There's a lot of people speculating they're going to put this jet back into production as a passenger airplane with new engines and some new technology on it to make it a more efficient, good airplane. And I hope they do. It's such a solid airplane. I've flown on them quite a bit of times. When you're in a 30-year-old airplane and everything is working exactly as it should and it's comfortable, it's like, Boeing needs to develop these things out to be just a little bit more modern, and it's a really solid platform. So I've flown this plane. It's probably the most frequent wide body I've flown, and if you fly with Delta to Europe, chances are you're going to be on one of these. If you fly to South America, chances are you're going to be on one of these. So that is the airplane of the week. It's been some really great experiences. I have a lot of memories on those.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. You know, the only thing I really want to touch on was Expedite Expo. If you have not already registered and you're planning on attending, please jump to expediteexpo.com and register. Hyfield Trucking is going to be there. We're going to have a booth at the Expedite Expo. Where is the Expedite Expo at?
It is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum.
What are you going to do when they change that next year and you have to relearn a whole new 5?
Well, I hope it's shorter next time and not
It's
the
gonna be
Allen County. It's going to be the Allen County
World War II honorary citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's right. Allen County War
I got
Memorial.
a year to memorize what it is next time.
Yes, you do. But it is a great show, very educational. They have breakout sessions. They have a lot of
good vendors there.
A lot of good vendors there. We're going to be there. The carriers, there's several carriers going to be there. So if you're not sure yet which one you would like to work with, they're going to be there to answer questions, talk to you. Hyfield's going to be there as well. We're going to have a bunch of teams. We're going to have a bunch of our mentors are going to be there. You're going to be able to talk to recruiting, talk to all kinds of people, really get a feel for the industry. It's a great show. It's not so big like Matt's was that it's impersonal. This is very personal.
Oh, yeah, very.
You're able to really have those really great conversations and not feel rushed. And you can even climb into some of these trucks if you're curious what they look like. How would you kind of organize things? It's a super great tool for if you're going to get a truck. That is going to be July 21st and 22nd of this year. 2023 if you're hearing us a year later. There will be a $16 charge to park trucks per day and then an $8 charge for cars. For the trucks, they do allow overnight parking, and generally speaking, if you're there on Friday, they don't really charge you again on Saturday.
Right.
So we're hoping that stays the same, but
as long as you haven't left.
As long as you haven't left, correct. So, and why would you? We're going to have casino night that night. And in the after party, casino night is, we kind of talked about it earlier, but it's going to be a big party. We bring in these company that brings in all the casino boards. They bring in the poker tables, the blackjack tables, a couple other various tables out there as well. They also bring the craps table, the roulette, and all that good stuff. So you can come. They give you $1,000 Monopoly money when you get on when you come in the room, and you just play all night. It's a lot of fun. If you don't gamble and you're like, it's not really for me, go to the roulette table, put $1,000 on red. See what happens. Yeah. It's a fun time. I encourage people to come out and see us. If you really, really don't gamble, there's always a large group of people over. They kind of split the room in half. On the other half of the room, there's a lot of people that just kind of hang around the tables and chat, and they have a cash bar there and live music. Ooh, I gave something away there. I didn't mean to do that, but
cash bar. Oh, I just gave it away again. Sorry.
Yes. There will be music there as well, entertainment, and then once they shut down a casino night, we'll have an after party as well in that same room. So it is a lot of fun. They do all these little breakout sessions. We've got our good friends, Millennials in Trucking, are going to be over there talking about being a millennial in
stuff.
Trucking.
Yeah.
Our friends over at the Big Gay Trucker podcast are going to be there. They're going to be talking about diversity in trucking as well. I think women in trucking also are going to be there. So there's going to be people talking about buying a truck. There's going to be people talking about starting a fleet. And it is, and a whole lot more. It's quite a list. If you go to the website, you can actually see the schedule and who's going to be talking when. I encourage you to look at that. Make the show an educational show, but also have a really great time. And then weather permitting on Saturday night, we're going to have a parking lot party. And we just encourage everybody to come out. It's a lot of fun. And it's the highlight of the year for me. And I look forward to seeing you out there. That is all I have. Vince, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else for tonight. I think we're all good.
What about Mr. Jer Barrow?
I'm good. All
right. Well,
you know what? I didn't tell the truth just then.
You're such a liar.
I am. If you've got suggestions on what you'd like to hear on this show that we're trying to produce for you folks to keep you company, maybe give you some information, maybe some entertainment as you travel down the road. If you're watching on YouTube, leave in the comments below, or on Facebook, leave in the comments below. If you're listening to the podcast, leave us a comment on the podcast, a review if you would. Let us know what you think. Those ideas and suggestions from you folks help us out to generate content for the show. So please let us know what you think.
Absolutely. We've had several people reach out to us. You can reach out to us on Facebook Messenger, on Hyfield Trucking's Facebook or Outer Belt's Facebook. You can also reach out to us at the outerbeltpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also reach out to us at _outerbelt on Instagram. Send us your messages, send us your questions, comments. We love to hear them. It's always fun to get listener feedback.
Yeah.
We have, believe it or not, sometimes we've talked about it, sometimes we haven't. Your feedback does drive the show.
Yes.
It makes a huge difference in what we talk about, what we don't talk about, and we appreciate that feedback. We want to cater this show towards you. This is your show. It's not our show. We are happy to oblige. And if you have any questions, reach out to us there. If you are interested in, like, what is this Hyfield Trucking? What do y'all do? Or we know what you do, and yeah, we'd like to go ahead and be entertained making that switch. Please reach out to us as well. We have a couple open trucks at FedEx, and I think maybe one truck over at Panther open right now. We would love to talk to you about coming over and doing this work. It's team driving only, but if you have a teammate, it doesn't have to be same household. It can be same household, husband and wife type situation, or it can be two people that are not related. We have trucks for both to accommodate both. We'd love to have that conversation with you. We love our business. We're very passionate about it, and we would enjoy the opportunity to have that conversation with you.
We would, definitely.
So in the meantime, I'm going to sign off and say, everybody, please drive safe and make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Good night.
Sorry.